Hey there, welcome back to the podcast. Over the last 2 years, we've had the incredible privilege of interviewing wonderful people all across our industry. We don't have a media company behind us. We don't have corporate sponsorship. It's just us. If you find value in what we do, the best way to support our show is to like, comment on episodes on whatever streaming platform you're on, subscribe on YouTube, and because the whole point of the podcast is about community and building a community, tell your friends. Thanks. Enjoy the episode. Cheers. Shishir, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I was happy to hear after I'd met you that you wanted to be on the podcast when I came in to eat with Jordan. Yeah. We were sitting at the bar, and he's a great guy. So anytime he can test for anybody, I always take that into high regard. Oh, wow. You know the deal. So we're here. We're going to discuss your story. We're going to talk about kind of your background. We were just catching up on a little bit of it. Yeah. But let's get detailed. Tell us about your spark, like where the first interest came from. I know we were just kind of talking about the renaissance of love for the industry that you had, but how did it all begin?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah. And thanks to Jordan, obviously. Love Jordan. It all started for me when I was when I first moved to the country from Bangladesh. I grew up in Bangladesh. I came out here for college, and that was when I went to Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. And I grew up in a country where there's no alcohol.
Right.
Super Muslim. So came to Indiana, and you have all this idea about America, you go there, you party, you have alcohol, and sure enough, got introduced to alcohol.
And it was all true.
It was all true. It's Midwest, right? Mm-hmm. There's nothing to do but drink.
That's true.
That's nothing else, and be stuck in indoors during winter. Yeah. I got introduced to alcohol, and funny enough. White Russian was my jam.
Ooh,
oh my god! I had a sweet tooth from back home, mm-hmm. right? And then it was all White Russians all the time, and then those White Russians that were in bottles and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I forgot even the brands or whatever that was.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're all good.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah, just drinking White Russians, Bud Lights.
Yeah.
Miller High Life. Even though I love Miller High Life even to this day.
Yeah, it's the champagne of beer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. That went on for a bit, mm-hmm. and then Indiana. I grew up in such a big city. Mm-hmm. Indiana was too small for me. Mm-hmm. I realized that, and when you come out from a country like Bangladesh, you think all of America is like SoCal
or like Hollywood. Yeah.
Hollywood, and dried out swimming pools where you can just skate and Blink 182 are that's the life you imagine. Yeah. Right? But it wasn't that, obviously. I was getting so tired of going to the same things over and over. However, one thing that really was kind of like a little spark for me was this brewery called Upland Brewery. Mm-hmm. It's in Indiana, somewhere between Indianapolis and Bloomington. To be honest with you, even to this day, I never looked up where it is because I was in the country, people would just take me
to
places.
Yeah.
I didn't have a car,
mm-hmm.
So friends would take me there. And Upland Brewery, I had a stout there and a porter, and really I had no idea what stout and porter were back then, right? The porter really got me into it. I was like, oh my god, there's this thing mm-hmm. with viscosity and chocolate and
kind of White Russian adjacent.
Yeah, White Russian, but a little bit bitterness. If someone had 80% dark chocolate thrown in something with no sugar in it, right? And I was like, wow, this is so cool. And then I started looking up how to make a porter. Mm-hmm. And then people were like, and this is I'm talking about before Brooklyn Brewery mm-hmm. was getting big on the other side, right? And I don't know about them yet, right? I started looking up what makes a porter because I was so bored in Indiana. There's nothing to do.
Good hobby.
Yeah, and then looked up and they put oats and everything, and mm-hmm. I was like, oh my god, Quaker oats was one of the staple for breakfast back home.
Sure.
I was like, oh shit, I want to know more about it. And then obviously it died down there. Obviously you're a kid, you're a college kid, you don't have space to do anything, right? Yeah. And then got tired, and finally I decided, that the last straw, the winter was too severe. Mm-hmm. I'm not in Chicago because I used to go to Chicago a lot during mm-hmm. that time. I didn't know any bars back then either. And one good thing about Chicago, this is all happening in tandem, right? There's the Upland Brewery, and then going to Chicago, I used to like go to all these neighborhood bars with my friends, and I had no idea what these bars were, and it was so cool to see that people that were living nearby and coming out in numbers and supporting a space, and that was something back home. It reminded me of like going to like those like places with paradas and like
Sure.
kebabs.
Yeah.
Meeting place, right?
Kind of like locality.
Yeah, locality about it, right? And that really was like kind of cool. That really stuck with me after leaving Chicago. Like every time I leave Chicago, go back to Indiana and be sad. And then
back to the snow. Well, not that there's not snow in Chicago.
Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I'm done with Indiana. Fuck it. I'll just move to New York. Like, I want to be in a big city, right? I want to be back to something where there are more Bangladeshis,
right?
And also like the feel of a big city. So I moved to New York, and then like any other idiot like international kids, I had no idea that when you move, you lose your scholarship. And I did the same. I lost my scholarship, so all of a sudden, paying $8,000 a year went to $48,000 a year. Ugh. And if it was one of those things, if I could pay $48,000 from my pocket, I probably would not have left Bangladesh.
Right. Yeah. You would have said you would have been a king.
Yeah, exactly. I would just stay back home. Why bother? Like doing all these like things. Why? What for? What? Right? And then I had to drop out. As I dropped out, that's when all those experiences I had in Chicago and Upland Brewery kind of like came to my forefront. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll be in bar industry. See how it goes. So I started as a busser at this place called Cat in the Meatpacking district, and the chef there was a Vietnamese guy who just won like Top Chef for his knife skills. Hung was his name. And so I started at Cash. It was just like a meatpacking district staple, like 3 floors, like packed with people. They're filling this place up with models. Beyonce's are coming. Beyonce, Jay-Z, Mariah Carey, everyone would come there.
It's a good first job.
Yeah. Like, and then there's like Dubai billionaires. The only time you're allowed to smoke inside the restaurants if there are Dubai billionaires coming in. It's one of those things. I was like, oh my god. So yeah, that life, I met a lot of people, a lot of different people actually. That was when I was like finally I was seeing different nationality actually. I was talking to different people from Senegal and stuff like that because they're all working. We're all working in the same space. Right. And that was the first time I was like, okay, yeah, I guess America is a melting pot after all. Right? And that was really fun.
Not necessarily in Indiana.
Yeah, not in Indiana. Yeah. Maybe once in a while you'd see someone and be like, oh yeah, look at that guy. But yeah, and got into Catch. It was a busser, and it was one of those jobs like when I was just like maybe 21. I lied my way in, right? It's a big city. It's 2009. No one cares. No one checks anything. So you can just say whatever. Yeah. And then, if you hit it off, they hire you.
Right.
Started busting around. And then, finally I was like, you know what, getting tired of this, just going to the back all the time, putting these plates away, and then maybe smoking or something, coming back, kind of getting tired of it. I need more. I've always been that person. Like, I always want more. Right?
That's great.
I get bored fast. So, and then I was like, hey, can I bar back? And they're like, yeah, sure. If you want to bar back, we'll put you behind the bar. Started bar backing, obviously still like attached to White Russian.
Yeah.
All I cared about, like, how do you make your White Russian here?
Rumpelmann's was mine when I was a kid. I was like 20. I'm like, yeah, I drink Rumpelmann's, Yeah, what's the house spec for a White Russian? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then start and really getting into it was a place where it was so busy. So I was never like, how there are times when people start in slower spots or something, but I started right in the heart of like all you can think about, like shit going down all the time. So that really got me into this mindset where I was really okay with chaos.
Yeah.
I kind of started liking chaos. It's kind of like one of those things I tell people that one of the reasons why I always loved LA was because I don't really mind the traffic or the bad air, because my city was full of traffic and there's bad air. So it just reminds me of home. It's the same thing, right? I was thrown into chaos, and I kind of embraced it in a way, right? And then after bar backing there, and I started looking around the city. I was like, what do I do? And then I came across this guy, and he was leading American Sommelier Association in New York back then. And they had all these courses out, right? And I was like, you know what, maybe I should try. So, I take some classes, know more about wine. And started doing that. And the guy's like, hey, there's a wine cellar attendant internship in Gotham Bar and Grill. And I was like, wow, yeah, I heard about Gotham Bar and Grill.
I've heard about it, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll go there. They're known for Alfred Portales stacked up food from the 80s or 90s, whatever. I was like, yeah, I want to do it. And so, yeah, I took that job. And it was a job. It was a really funny job. Nothing like that exists anymore. And it's like one of those things where you'd go there at 4 a.m, clock in, wait for all these deliveries come in by 5:30, maybe 7 at the latest. There were like cases and cases of wine. You unpack them. And Gotham had this underground cellar, and my job was to kind of like map out the cellar. Like the wine director would teach me how to do it, and put these bottles away for them. And we would use Binwise and put all this the stickers,
tags and stuff,
the barcodes, right? And it's kind of funny. Like I used Binwise like in 2010 and 11, and later on when I talk about it, people are like, "Oh, wow, that's so expensive. Why do you even want to use that?"
It was the only thing around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it was really fun printing out stickers, barcoding everything, putting bottles away, and starting to look at bottles, right? And that really got me to like, wow, I really want to like really take bartending more up my sleeve and stuff. And then I talked to Eric, who was the wine director then, and he was like, you know what? Yeah, I can lead you up to a couple bars in the city where you can go around and like maybe you have to bar back a bit, and then eventually you get to bartend. I was like, yeah, sure. And then this space popped up called the Rum House. It's in there in the lobby of Edison Hotel near 48th and 8th Avenue. So it was all this like the theater going around and this piano bar. Very old school bar with like mahogany wood on the bar top. It's like a very classy. Now I look back, I'm like, man, building a bar like that must be so much money in today's time.
Yeah, nowadays.
Yeah. I don't even know how they did that back then. I don't know what the ADA compliance was. I don't know. Like it's one of those times. And I started bar backing there, and then it's like very very funny. I was taking song classes. But I was so scared to open a bottle of wine all the time. It was so like frightening for me, right? And those guys were like, you know what? We don't care today. You're opening 50 bottles of wine here, and you're gonna like perfect this. And that's the type of education I got with them. And even to this day, I take my martini glass, put crushed ice on it because we would have coupes lined up, all crushed ice because we are not chilling our coupes back then,
right.
And it still sticks with me, and I still do that even to this day to chill my glasses. Kind of like paying homage to that experience. And then that's where they taught me kind of to bartend, got me into the classics, and I was a great bar back at one point. I really think it was one of those things that bar backing was always like they would tell me, do fucking move out of the bartender's way. I was like, yeah, sure, I guess. I don't mind. I'll just go downstairs, come back and move out of your way and chill coupes with ice and stock up beer and shit. Why not? So that started, but one of those things was that I would work from 3 p.m. to 5 in the morning. It was like, I don't know if I can do that now, obviously, like in my late 30s. But yeah, early 20s, why not? Let's do it. That's fun.
Yeah.
Just get into the train, see all these people half dead, and they come to work. Oh man, and get off work, and the same feeling. You get to go to Koreatown. That's. So I would say that all that together, all those experiences I had, really like made me think the bar industry is romantic, right? Got into it. And then kept working, starting getting experience with these people, and then eventually, through the wine people too, they got me to Porterhouse, which was on top of Time Warner Building. Started at Porterhouse, and that's when like I saw, when you work at a steakhouse, a very quintessential steakhouse, you see people like pouring martini service, like all the small shakers going in and stuff. So my shake got really good actually, right? I would be that guy because they wouldn't let me bartend right away. Obviously, I was too young, or like seemed too young.
Sure.
To them. So they would send me as the guy who would be like, oh yeah, you shake the martini by the table side and like pour them on. Like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it was kind of intimidating, right? As
Sure. Yeah.
You know, but it was fun. Like
I dropped one of those shakers before at a table. It can be intimidating.
Yeah, it is. And you know, you're always like, oh my god, if I drop it, am I gonna get fired or not? You know, I'm talking about 2010. So,
right.
You know, You drop a fork, you get fired.
Yeah. It was a different time.
So yeah, porterhouse was really good experience. It was like really fun for me because it was all like champagne cocktails. Like, you know, it was all like martinis. It was like airmail, as a matter of fact, you know. That was the first time I was like, oh wow, there's a drink with rum, almost like a daiquiri, and you float champagne and a mint tip, and that's it. I mean, that's kind of fabulous.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and then that was also a time when we would have hand rolled sugar cubes, dredge them with bitters, break them down with a muddler. You know, that's the old fashioned.
Right.
I'm talking about braising all of that together. So porterhouse, and you know, I was in a good place. I felt really good about it. And all of a sudden, my wife wanted to move to the West Coast. She's like, yeah, you know what? I really want to be closer to people from Guam. She's from Guam. There are a lot of people from West Coast living from Guam, right? I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. I didn't really want to leave New York, and we came to the Bay Area, and been in the Bay Area since. So got to Bay Area, you know, started bartending at Bully Bar in the Ferry Building, actually. Which is kind of funny now, like...
You're back there.
I'm back there after 14 years or something. That's how it all started.
That's great. And so there was a time when you and Jordan had worked together. I remember hearing that. So you started at Bully Bar, and then where else have you worked throughout the city?
Oh, yeah. So during that time, after Bully Bar, went away, I mean, after I was done with that, I went to Hawker Fair. So Hawker Fair, this was very fun. So actually, I interviewed for Murad when Murad was about to open. And I came across these two great bartenders. One was Christ. I used to call him Christ, but it's Christ, I guess. Christ and Troy Bayless. He now works with Winebow.
Got it.
And Chris ended up owning a bar, Kontiki, that was famous in Oakland for a bit. It shut down, unfortunately. But yeah, Chris and Troy were doing the bar at Murad, and they were like, you know what, we would like to hire you. And I was like, oh, sure, yeah, thanks. I love that. And I started Murad. And I went to Murad, and Murad seemed kind of like stuffy for me because I was still not ready, right, to be in that.
We came from high volume, effectively nightclubs, and then a steakhouse, which is not always necessarily like the most polished. It's about like serving lots of booze really fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like it was kind of like, do I want to do this like Michelin star thing? And Chef Murad was like, you know, he was in his younger years, so he was like pretty like intimidating. Back then. Love the guy actually, because I ended up going to Murad about 10 years later, right, for the second time. There I was, and I was like intimidated, and I see all these people, and I'm like, I go up to Chris, I was like, I don't know if this is for me, and he's like, you know what, I have another fun challenge for you if you'd like to join. We're opening a tiki bar in the Mission called Hawker Fair. And I was like, oh my god, that sounds great actually. I love like tropical flavors. I have a sweet tooth. I'm still like, you know, remembering my days from White Russia days. I was like, yeah, let's do this. And that's when I went to Hawker Fair, spent a good year and a half there, and then went to Monsieur Benjamin. That's when by then I was ready for that refinement, right? Did Monsieur Benjamin, and then went back to high volume at Charmaine's when Charmaine.
Oh yeah, Charmaine's.
I know. It was 2018. I remember still. I think Uber during that year voted Charmaine's to be the most dropped off location in the city or something. It was insane. It was one of those.
Not a bad award.
No, yeah, and like it was one of those places like you're making drinks. You're just making 1,000 or 1,500 drinks all by yourself. I mean, you know, at your station alone, and there's like 4 other stations.
Yeah.
And, like, we got to this point. It was the hardest job I've had even to this day because the turnover was insane. I would never stop bartending for 8-9 hours straight, right? Literally not stop. But what happened was that after year 1, after all this turn and burn things that happened, we were stuck with a team that was all very talented, and there would be nights when we would not even have to talk. We could just look at each other. We know how each
that flow
works.
state. Yeah.
Which person would move back more than the other as they shake. We knew all intimate details about each other. and we probably maybe fucked up or something, but we were so good at the job that it was like an insane, like seamless flow of like I don't know, a machine at that point, right? And that really was fun, and I was really like liking it. And then obviously the pandemic hit, the mass layoff, and everything went down the hill, right? And so did my mentality. I was like, oh my God, I hate this industry. They jucked us out. There's nothing left for us. This industry sucks. Look at everyone else. Like,
and they're paying us a bunch of money to stay home.
Yeah.
I was like, why would I ever go back to work?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that too, like, after you got used to it, and then all those toxic traits that was building up finally got to shed those off. It's funny that a lot of people took up more drinking during the pandemic.
Right.
For me, it was the opposite. Finally, I got to, like de-stress and not be like, okay, I need this for my work.
Yeah, you don't need the 3 drinks after shift anymore.
Or like maybe 5 drinks during shift. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I should go back to work. I went back to it half-heartedly. And by the way, during all this time, as I was at Charmaine's, as much as the team was really fun, the job was so hard that I started to despise it in a way. And then I saw a bunch of my my coworkers or friends who became my coworkers who became really good friends actually. They all left the industry, so I felt like, oh my God, I'm getting abandoned here in the Bay. Like the government is abandoning me. Everyone's abandoning me. What's going on? So I was like, what do I do? So I went back. I looked for a job, and I was like, I want to pick up something that I actually would probably most likely like or know. And I saw Whitechapel hiring. And I was like, always loved that bar. It was one of the bars where my wife and I would go on dates when they first opened up. It was so pretty. It was such a well thought out menu. The menu, like really, I really loved the whole space, the menu that they built, and the history behind Whitechapel. Because Whitechapel is named after a neighborhood in London. And if you go to the Whitechapel, current day Whitechapel right now, it's all Bangladeshis that live there, right? So it resonated so much with me. And when Whitechapel out here opened, they had a chef who was doing food that was mimicking a lot of Bangladeshi flavors.
That's awesome.
So for the first time, after living in New York, I found this oasis for me where it was Bangladeshi food. There is like history of Whitechapel neighborhood, right, all intertwined, and the drinks were fabulous. And I love gin. Like I was building this appetite for gin during that time too. I mean, over the years, and then finally it came to that. And then I saw this posting about hiring at Whitechapel, took the job, finally got to work at a steampunk theme bar. If I didn't mention it, I was a big punk head in my Indiana and New York days. I would love punk shows. That's why I have bad hearing now.
Right.
I would never wear plugs thinking that it's not punk enough.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it damaged my ears. So yeah, after Whitechapel, it was fun, but Omicron really ruined the business there. They decided to go to just like private events and shut down for public. And I was looking around, and then Bar Agricole's second version opened up. Joined Bar Agricole, and that's when it really hit me that I was 75 as a bartender. I always thought. I didn't even have this skill until I went to Bar Agricole. And I was like, I need to get to 90 somehow. Because I was around Thad, I was around Craig Lane, and these guys were so great about like how they think about drinks. And then we had this like sessions where we would like come like for 3 hours, make the same drink. Every time we'd do one dash of orange bitters, maybe not. We'd be that like particular about the drink, right? Take it out. How does a big cube or a smaller cube affect the whole dilution level, right? And doing this workshop with them really opened my eyes. And then they were like, hey, what do you call that? Do you want to come up with some drinks now that you have seen how we work? And I was like, yeah, actually, I would love to. And then Thad purchased a Domaine Bonnier Armagnac.
Yeah.
That was 100% Foy Blanc. And I was like, wow. I mean, that being that, right? I mean, that collection of spirit was immaculate over there. And I was like, I would love to create Pimp's Cup, but no, like, necessarily any pimps in there, right?
Sure.
And I was also big in tennis, by the way. So, like going back, that whole scene of London soccer and tennis was what I grew up with. So I wanted to be inspired by to create a drink that would like inspire me about London in a way, right? And Chelsea is my soccer team, and that's why Pim's are kind of
right.
Even though Pim's is not from London, right? I mean the whole drink. But anyway, yeah. So I wanted to create that, and I started workshopping a drink with Domaine Bonnier's Armagnac, which is like kind of rare to use in a drink, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And we called it fruit cup, so it was like that. Domaine Bonnier, some like strawberry syrup, some ginger, and then sparkling Chenin Blanc.
Wow.
Yeah, to like round up the whole drink. It was done in a tall glass, not necessarily a highball glass, because they had Bar Agricole had their own glassware made by this place in Berkeley called Long Confidence Beaker or something. Yeah. So it was in a beaker shaped glass. It had the perfect ice that I would cut ourselves. We would cut ourselves. I would do most of the ice cutting during that time. And yeah, we made this drink, and then they were all like, yeah, you know, like you kind of are a younger version of us, and that really, really, like, I took it to heart, right? I really, like,
the biggest endorsement.
Ever, like, you know, in a way, to me, because I was like, oh my God, these guys are so integrated, and they see what I can bring to the table, even as, like, you know, even though my experience doesn't stack up to them, but that's not the point here, right? It's about like how much wholeheartedly you want to be into it, and how much you kind of want to, like, you know, have all these different formulas and different iterations, and how much you care at the end of the day, right? And yeah, and then Obispo, obviously one of Dad's bars shut down, so there were all this rum collection there, all these Calvados there, and oh my God, we would make tea punches with this amazing rum, a Prairie Labatt single origin rum, right? And I made so many tea punch that the bar spoon I still carry to this day. It's kind of bent because of me stabbing the lime coin all the time. So yeah. And then right after that, obviously, you know, I always felt like the location and Bar Agricole second version was a bit early for SF during that time. Obviously, didn't work out. We weren't generating enough money, so they had to lay me off. And I was looking around. And that's when I went to Murad for the second time.
I see. Yeah.
Went to Murad. That's when, you know, I was like, okay, I'm ready for, like, you know, taking the bar program to the next level. And their drinks were pretty much like very tiki forward.
Sure.
I love tiki, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But right after Bar Agricole, I had this thing where I'm like, no more tiki.
Right.
You know, I need something different.
I'm going to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, exactly. And I did a little bit. And that's when I got into, I got the chance to do Murad's drink. And, you know, that was like my first time doing drinks for a Michelin star restaurant.
Right.
And I used Calvados, I used Puerty. Puerty was big in Bar Agricole.
Right.
Because we were drinking Puerty all the time. I don't know if we were selling it.
Sure.
Well, but hey.
It's not a inexpensive staff drink, right? Even if it's just NA, it's still... Puerty's not cheap.
Yeah, it's not cheap. Yeah. No wonder we never made money. But yeah, I was drinking so much Puerty. So yeah, Calvados, Puerty. I was using, you know, very kind of like Leopold Brothers single origin bourbons.
Oh yeah.
So I was making it very unique in a way, right? And it resonated really well. Because you know, Murad being Murad, you know, you have all these wine pairings, and like, you know, and I guess traditionally people sit down, they have one cocktail and they go to wine, right? But I think,
and they want like a vodka martini or something, something simple to get the night started. Yeah.
And then soon the staff got very warm about my drinks, and they started, like, you know, pushing it more, and that kind of changed the whole the whole scene within Murad, how people were drinking, right? They would come in and, you know, they'll have 2-3 cocktails instead of having one, and then they would go for a glass of wine, right? Or they would end the meal with a glass of wine or something, or it would be vice versa, as a matter of fact, right? And that really, really affirmed it. And then, you know, unfortunately, you know, like every other thing, good things come to an end. Yeah. Had to leave Murad, and that's when I ran into Jordan. And I think Jordan came a couple of times at Murad while I was working. I remember his face, but I don't remember having a conversation with him. But he saw me behind the bar, and he's like, you know what, I did remember you because I did apply for the job. They had a post for yokai, right? And he's like, yeah, I remember you at Murad very well. I would love for you to, like, come and talk to me and all that stuff. And then we interviewed. And then this is the very funny part. I had a part where I had to go present my drinks to them, right? And my first drink, because I'm just coming fresh off of Agricole and Murado, I was like, you know what? I'm going to create the most esoteric thing possible.
Sure.
And try to blow them away.
Yeah.
And I was like, but how do I do this? I'm at my home. I don't have any equipment or anything, right? So I take wakame seaweed. I put that into a clarin from Haitian clarin rum. I wanted to make the clarin more seaweed, like salty.
Sure.
Give that brine effect. Use some spice sauce to it, right? Create basically a highball drink with a lot of like umami, right? That was my goal, and introduce a little bit of smoke with the float of sotol,
right?
Even though sotol is not that smoky, right?
Sure.
But I didn't want it to overcome the seaweed, the brininess that you get from the seaweed.
Rum and seaweed are relatively elegant flavors. Yeah,
exactly, right. I present this to, and there was tomato water too, right? I present this to Jordan, and I remember they all was like, wow, very cool, right? I explained it to them, and they drank it. They all went quiet. I'm like, okay, I think like they didn't like this, and okay, this we'll get back to it, but like months later when I got hired by them and everything, they were like, yeah, that drink sucked. but we were blown away by how much you put towards
time and effort. Yeah,
and also the idea behind the drink was so cool that we're like, you know what, he thinks like us, so we'll just hire him.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But like we still talk about it. I was like, yeah, man, I don't know. I wanted to be. I was so hung up on like making the drink cool. I didn't even know.
You got to swing for the fences.
Yeah, I didn't even know if it tastes good or not, but I just wanted it.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah, that was how I met. That was my interaction with Jordan during that time, and then I ended up getting hired, and that's when he was like, you know what, man, the way you think, we gotta do some really cool drinks here. We'll actually do some crazy shit and like see where it goes. And honestly, it was Jordan Abraham who gave me that platform to go very weird.
Right.
And I took it very seriously. I made it very weird, and it kind of like worked. And
that's great. And now you're at Arquet. I mean, was it directly from Yokai to Arquet?
No, it was in between. I had kind of like a couple months of in Oakland.
I
spent some time in Oakland.
Cool.
Because that was also the time when Oakland had the best Condé Nast gave it the most best food scene.
Best food scene. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah, it was great for Oakland.
Yeah.
Right, obviously, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I can be part of this renaissance or whatsoever. And I started working in Oakland. I did a little bit of work at this place in downtown Oakland, and then this guy who never owned a restaurant, he has coffee business, decided to open a restaurant in the old Calavera spot.
Oh.
To Oaxacan fare, but with coffee and mezcal. And I was like, you know what, that's kind of cool. Actually.
That's cool,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I know that it's obviously a risky thing for me to accept this, because you have never owned a restaurant before. So
right.
Maybe you would not be very open.
It's hard to understand costs if you've never ran a restaurant.
Exactly, yeah.
What do you mean our profit margin's only 6%? That's insane. That's restaurants.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know exactly if you're ready for this, but I'll be a good game and try to see what's up, right?
Yeah.
Because I've always been that person. Like, I always wanted to give something a chance, even if there is no promise in it, right? Because you can always make something out of anything, all that shit, right? And then I took that job, but in the process, it failed, by the way. Go figure.
As does first restaurants for a lot of people. Yeah.
It failed miserably, actually. But in the process, that was actually, I would say, in the process, I got to learn so much about mezcal.
Sure.
And the people that distribute mezcal. And this is what I kind of wanted to expand on later in our conversation. People that carry those products, right? And the people that make it. Oh my gosh, there's so much like communal like feel into it, right? And you only experience that when you're kind of like reaching out to these people or trying to get this smaller batch of mezcals, and you come and see these people that bring them to you, right? Sometimes directly, like one of the family members will come and try to sell this to you, right? Anyway, so that's what I did, and then I came back to Arquet after that failed.
That's great. Well, that explains the mezcal love that you have now, and you were already kind of dipping your toes into it with sotol as a cocktail ingredient, right? It's a little bit more of a niche product from agave, but and now at Arquet, I mean, I found a little interview, a video of you from January or something, where you were talking about making a cocktail and you were putting fish sauce in it. Right. Yeah. When you're approaching building a cocktail program at a restaurant like Arquet, and you're in the Ferry Building, which you would assume would attract a lot more like tourism. Yeah. What is kind of your thought behind building that program? Is it about highlighting particular ingredients? Is it about just experimenting with whatever the fuck you want, but making sure it's balanced so it's not too austere? Like, what's your not morality, but what's the inspiration kind of behind the cocktail program?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny. It's kind of like, listen, like, it's really challenging in a way, right? Because here you are at an iconic location, right?
Yeah.
It used to be Slatted Door.
Yep.
And you have all these people come back, and you know very well the people who are coming back are not necessarily younger people.
Sure.
Or in the younger age group, right? So you would expect them to have more familiarity of like what they're seeing behind the bar that they used to see at the Slatted Door.
Sure.
But also, if you try to kind of appease those people, then you kind of like, okay, then what's new about this?
You lose the younger crowd too, yeah.
Also, and that is, as a matter of fact, right? So if I'm coming back to another Slatted Door, what's the point, right?
Right.
That's what I was thinking. So going back to that, I mean, it was about intentionality. Was that not to alienate all these people who'd come back? Also, like, trying to create something where it can be seen as, okay, that's one space where they do high volume, but if I go there, I can also nerd out, right? And then now, going back, Arquet's kitchen is very farm to table, right? Their food, I think it's a very ambitious approach, obviously. It's like taking ship panisse, but for ship panisse for 1,000 people a day, right? And like,
it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, exactly. And like, so, how do you, and so like, when you see that in the kitchen, I thought to myself, I was like, okay, I want to kind of mimic that same strategy for the bar. And in doing so, I was like, okay, if I do pretty much everything right and do one or two experiments in between, throwing in there, and it's kind of like a social experiment at that point, right? And see how it goes. And like, you don't have to, you create a very balanced drink, but you have a bunch of weird shit in there. But because it's so balanced, people are like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Right.
And that's what the thought was.
that's where you try to strike gold.
Yeah.
The concept behind Arquet, help me here. It says like New California cuisine, but there's French influence.
So they use all those cooking methods.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. To bring out the farm to table approach. Yeah.
How's business been over there in the sense of like, I mean, you're in just one of the best locations in San Francisco. I mean, I'm sure it's just you guys are getting walloped regularly.
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
It's been something. It's like getting hit by a bus. And then it doesn't help that it's one of those things, right? You have this great ambition.
Yeah.
Right? And you wanna be that person where you can give people like not just vodka cranberry or like fucking I don't know Irish coffee that they always have. I mean, look, Irish coffee is great, right?
Great.
I mean, I love it.
Yep.
Like, but you go to Buena Vista for it because they perfected it, right?
Yep.
And you have that experience. So and then so you're trying to give people not just like any other vodka soda or all that shit. You're trying to give them, like I said, like a very balanced drink with like some weird stuff in it, but at the same time, not weird enough that people would not even try to try it.
Yeah.
Not scare them.
Yeah.
Right? And so in all those like level, like it's been challenging, obviously, to create a bar program where it's like super cool, but at the same time, like how do we execute it all the time?
Right.
And
is there like a cocktail that specifically has become like the thing that you can't remove? A lot of bars and restaurants, they'll do a tester they'll run a cocktail. It's like a featured cocktail or new or seasonal or whatever. And then it kind of like latches on and it becomes like, when you go there, that's the thing you order. Do you guys have anything like that that's kind of stuck so far?
Yeah, it's been 2 of them actually.
Okay.
And to be fair with you, the second one, right, that stuck with people, I never really thought it would stuck with people.
That's great.
So going back really quick, when I was in New York, that was like, not making a lot of money, obviously. And then you're stuck in your house one day during like some fucking hurricane or whatever was going on during that time. And you're like, okay, we'll do a fucking drink. And here's a whole set of Monopoly and your roommates. And we're all like, you know what, we have Jose Cuervo and then a bunch of Yellowtail Cabernet. Let's fucking put those together with
figure it out.
Yeah, and all that shit. And just drink it and get drunk, right? So I took that inspiration and I started a drink with tequila and Pinot Noir. And what I did was that, I need to make it more refined. So what do I do? And here's what I do. One of the chefs went to the farmer's market, got me like fresh turmeric root, right? And, coming from Bangladesh, like, turmeric is like in everything.
Right.
Like, when people are getting married, they grate that, put that on the bride's like forehead, like stain her.
Yeah.
It's like a cultural thing.
Yeah.
It's in everything. So the smell of fresh grated turmeric is really like not new to me, right? I kind of know how to use it. That's what I'm getting at.
Because it can be overpowering for those that don't know how to use it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So I took Pinot, I took tequila, I grated fresh turmeric over cucumber syrup, and I balanced that out by putting yuzu in there. And then I was like, okay, now everything is there, but you need a fruit element of some sort, right? So my friend Tyler, who was one of my actually he was a bar manager at Bar Agricole. He was working there. He now has his own independent bottling company, and they decided to make a tipple. If people are not familiar with tipple, is basically you take fresh fruits and you steep them in neutral grain alcohol. They do that in UK a lot.
Okay.
And then the resulting liquid is this like freshly steeped fruit. So in this case it was red plums. And then he made that and he brought it to me and he's like, hey, what do you think of this? I was like, oh, actually I like it. I like it a lot. I may not know what's the use for it, but I'll buy a couple bottles and see what's up. And then here I had those bottles. I put in some of the plum tipple and it just ran out of the whole drink.
Wow.
And that lashed on. And it's kind of funny because I never thought a drink with Pinot, turmeric, and like tequila would just be like what people would like jam to, and that seems now hard to remove actually because summer menu would be launched in a couple weeks.
Right.
And I'm still like scratching my head over what to do with it.
Why would you peel it? I mean, it's like at Ozumo, we used to rotate cocktails all the time. But we would always leave on some of the core wine, the core things. I mean, Toki Highball because they gave us the Toki machine, so may as well.
Yeah.
And then it was like the Giddy Geisha, the lychee passion fruit martini. Like, you can't get rid of it. It's a Japanese restaurant. You have to have it. If you don't have it, somebody's going to ask for it. So yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, it's crazy to think. Yeah, I'm like looking at what I wrote down: tequila, Pinot Noir, turmeric, cucumber, yuzu, red plum tipple. It's just mind-bending to think about like all of those things in one thing, but then we get into this kind of sense of balance again.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other you mentioned there was 2 cocktails that stuck.
and the other one was Yellow Submarine. I named it Yellow Submarine just so you know, like it's not about the Beatles or anything.
Sure.
It just came out yellow and it looked pretty, and I feel like the Yellow Submarine name is kind of fun.
Great, yeah. There's no rules, you know.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny actually. Jordan, when he hears this, he's gonna like laugh. So I had a drink named Yellow Submarine 2 at Yokai, right? So that was totally a different base drink. Right?
Got it.
So the one at Yokai was Wagyu fat washed UI whiskey. So the UI. The whiskey we were using had 70% corn in it. So it was like, obviously UI was trying to mimic a bourbon taste, right? With a high corn percentage into it. So I really loved that whiskey, and like, the price point was so good when Jordan gave it to me, and I was like, oh my God, like let's do something with this.
Yeah, it was actually a cocktailable product that wasn't Southern Glazers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. And then, there was all this Wagyu fat from like, the restaurant.
From Yokai, but also from
Gozu.
Gozu, thank you. Yeah.
So and they had all this fat for me, And I was like, you know what? Let's use them. Let's fat wash it, right? And I'm talking about, this is about 3.5 years ago. So fat washing kind of was at its prime when I started in New York, right? Bacon fat wash fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
All that shit. So, okay, dialing back, a couple of decades, decade later almost. And I was like, you know what? Savory drinks are kind of coming in. But I haven't seen enough Inessa, so let's fat wash something.
Right.
And I did it. We at one point we had like fucking 5 fat washes in there. It was so amazing. It was like
amazing, but the walk-in sounds like my nightmare. There's just buckets of booze and fucking fat.
Yeah, exactly. God. There's this entire like walking rack there. There's like Cambros and Cambros of like different fat just sitting in alcohol.
Just thousands of dollars of liquor sitting in a plastic bin with meat and shit in it.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, we even had a foie gras washed, whiskey and like tamarind and like that was.
Sounds fucking good. Tamarind and foie gras sounds really good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was for me. That was like I wanted to mimic Gasconia cuisine in a way.
Yeah.
In Gascony they use like different parts of the duck, beaks and everything.
Yep.
So I was like, you know what? We'll try to use something similar to that and make a drink out of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to Yellow Submarine, so there was a Wagyu Fat Wash EY. And then I love bitter melon, right? Back home, you cook bitter melon and shrimp together. You like stir fry it.
It's like sautéed,
yeah. And then come to find out, in Japan they love bitter melon and bacon.
Oh.
Right? Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'll take that concept of bitter melon, right? But now here's the problem is I can't cook bitter melon because obviously it's gonna fucking all that oil and extra shit. I don't need that. So what do I do? So I went to the farmer's market. Actually, I was going to the farmer's market in near Rockridge, DMV, and this guy had all these amazing bitter melons. And I also didn't know this before. There are 2 types of bitter melon, one from China and one from India, the subcontinent, right? The one from subcontinent that you find in Bangladesh and India are like much more like super green. They're like dark green. They're more compact. They look like little mouse or something, right? With like a long tail or something. And the one from China are like super
bigger, yeah.
And they're light green, right? And they're more watery as well, and they're less bitter, right?
Less concentrated in flavor, I guess,
exactly.
right?
So
yeah.
I took the bitter melons that I'm used to from home. That's what the farmer had. And then at Yokai, incidentally, we had this like juicer called Champion Juicer. Those juicers are fucking now a relic brand. I didn't know that, right? And they're amazing actually. I went back on eBay later on to find one for myself. I had no luck. So I juiced the bitter melon, took out all the things in between and juiced it. And honestly, what came out was this. It's really funny, man. It came out this fresh green, almost like tennis ball smelling.
Yeah.
The tennis court smelling.
Yeah.
Juice came out, right? I was like, this is so cool. It's like a fresh Amaro almost, like a green Amaro, but minus the sugar. So I took that, I put maple syrup in it, and then I put preserved yuzu juice as well for that salt because I'm trying to mimic that salt stir-fried shrimp.
Sure.
So that was the Yellow Submarine at Yokai. So come to Arquet, I'm like, okay, I made this drink, and what do? Let's call it different Yellow Submarine series.
Yeah.
And so the Yellow Submarine drink in Arquet is basically a cenizo from Durango, with Pinot de Choron. Pinot de Choron is one of my favorite cheaters to use in drinks. So I take this Durango
as a sweetener. Right.
Yeah. I love it honestly. I love cognac and anything that has some partial cognac to do anything with it. And add some sugar so that I can think of White Russian.
Take me back. Take me back to Indiana.
Yeah. And then, I had the cenizo from Legendario Domingo that was made in Durango, and then Pinot de Choron. And then we had passion fruit puree. And so what I did was that a little hack was that take the passion fruit, prepare it with some sugar in there and some Thai chilies. Right, and the Thai chilies have to be obviously very well regulated. The reason being that I wanted the spice to be more of an experience than a taste. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I put that in the passion mix, right? Blended those together, and then I put together this drink with that and egg whites and fish sauce. and it came out this bright yellow sour that people can't just stop having enough of it. So yeah.
That's Yellow Submarine number 2.
Number 2. Yeah.
There we go. That's like a completely different drink.
yeah, exactly. So
but inspired off of cuisines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You still have that, like the Wagyu fat. There's a fish sauce. All that. Umami
right.
Element,
Yeah. I was thinking the shrimp and bitter melon, and then now you're in the like fish sauce camp, which I know that like in the video you'd reminded them that like that plays a major role in like Bangladeshi cuisine and things like that.
Yeah.
So
it's like it's like a huge river delta basically.
Right.
There's like 750 rivers that's flowing through the country, right? So it's all like fish and like rice.
Right.
What we eat.
Yeah. One of the things that I was going to say that was really interesting is when you were talking about. It's not really interesting for me. What you were saying was interesting to me. But it was the kind of concept of a higher end restaurant and a focus on the cocktail program. And this is something I always kind of like bitch about is that like you have a place and conceptually it's so focused on cocktails that they have shitty beer and wine. You have a beer like brewery and they have shitty wine or they have no cocktails. You have a wine bar and they have shitty beer and they have shitty cocktails, right? And there's kind of this like, I don't know, this like lackluster mentality, I think sometimes of like putting one thing up and not focusing on the well-being of the entirety of the beverage program. And so the idea of like increasing the sales at Murad, which you would think would be a classically wine-driven place, obviously it was, but kind of enriching the overall program I think is super important. And when I was at 8 Tables by George Chen, the Chinese tasting menu that was in Chinatown, we had this guy, Oscar, that was great. And he put together this awesome cocktail program. And there was like, we were doing cocktail pairings or we were doing beverage pairing. We had a wine pairing, beverage pairing, cocktail pairing, and a tea pairing. And the beverage pairing was like half cocktail, half wine, which I thought was a really nice compromise because we were pouring like really fun, high residual sugar Riesling with the spicy fish dish. That makes sense. But then with other things that were like really green and vegetal, we were doing cocktails, which was a little bit more compelling. And I don't know that that'll always like catch fire in every concept because margins can sometimes be a little bit better and labor is certainly better on wine versus going to the farmer's market and blending bitter melons, juicing bitter melons,
You have to be psycho.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think there's something, to appreciate in that, being psycho about your craft and like really caring and translating this emotion. And throughout your story, that was one of the things that seemed to be the trend, was this idea of like being consistently innovative, right? It was like you wanted more. It wasn't just, okay, I'm making martinis, that's it. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to ride off into the sunset and make cash. It was, wanting to explore and maybe wanting to represent a little bit more of your culture, things like that.
I mean, to be honest with you, all this caring in a way, right, came from meeting all this like different aspects of the industry. To be honest, there was certain moments in my career when I would see this person in the midst of everything, right. You could be just one of that guy like fucking making $400-$500 a night and just not giving a shit. Closing the bar like whatever the fuck you want, and and come back the next day with fruit flies everywhere. But then there are people actually, they might be making a little less than that $400-$500 a night, right? But they would come and they would really like stay there and like really clean out well. And I and from far, like suppose like kind of like being the goalie in the soccer field, right? And you're watching all these things, right? And I'm watching all this. I'm like, why does this one fucking guy care so much about this shit, right? And then whereas he can be just like any other guys on the team who can just fucking like do whatever and just make the money and fucking go. It's not his problem. Right? But then that extra care and this innovationness is like what I learned from watching all these people, right? And later on, like when now I could expand on it a little bit. That place in Oakland that didn't work out for me. I mean, didn't work out the restaurant concept, with the espresso and mezcal. Is that when I met all these small distributors of mezcal industry, right, they came to me and they're like so passionate about the products, And they would just like some of these guys would just give me the bottles, or like a couple bottles. Be like, hey, you don't have to pay me right now, right? Just like take the bottles, see if it resonates with your
mess with it, see how it works. Yeah.
Even if you can sell it or not.
Yeah.
If it doesn't sell, it's fine. You can give me the bottles away.
Yeah.
And you can drink it too in the meantime.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can return this like half empty bottles or whatever to me. And what that told me was that at the end of the day, these guys are coming really from communities, because like that's really a community interface in a way, right? When you're in a community and you're all about like looking out for the next person, what they're up to, or this family or that family, you're giving them stuff, right? You're giving them stuff, not expecting something in return back right away, and that's what I sense from these people, right? And so when I have these interactions all the time, I go around, I have millions of them in a way, right? Over the past decade, that really tells me that there are people who actually cares out there,
right?
And for me, it was like, how do I champion that?
Sure.
Right? I mean, obviously, hey man, like it's not like I can give them money. It's not like I have a shit ton of resources.
Yeah. You're not an angel investor.
Yeah, exactly, right. But what I can do is like inspire myself and totally like kind of like try to like keep pushing it in the industry somehow, right? A little bit by a little bit, like nudging it in a direction where I kind of want to see. And that's where kind of like my innovation, or like the urge to innovate almost like stays like that. That's why I feel like it has never gone away, because don't get me wrong, I have also worked with people who starts out like that, and like I see them years later and they're like all like checked out and shit. I'm like, oh man, what happened? Like you used to like inspire me back in the day, and now I don't see that in you anymore. And I mean, it's fine. I mean, obviously there's a time and place, and people must have gone through something, whatever. Yeah. But also, like that fizzles out for a lot of people.
Right.
But I mean, I would say I'm very fortunate enough to kind of have all this constant like seeing all these people and what they care about, and like all these amazing products that come to my hands,
right.
And even without like me trying to like like capitalize on them, and that's what kind of like keeps me going in a way.
That's awesome. I love that. We're getting to the point. What do you think about the wine? I know it's not a cocktail. It's not an RTD cocktail, but you enjoying it?
I am actually. I'm not a big white wine person.
Sure.
Necessarily all the time, but yeah, I've been enjoying it.
Good.
As you have seen me like going back and forth to it.
Good. That's important. I mean, for us, again, the blind is more about like just drinking something and enjoying it as a conversational piece.
Right.
Because too often that we get together and we just don't talk about anything real, and we just talk about what's in the bottle,
Yeah, exactly.
So anyways, this is Gruner Veltliner from Ebner Ebenauer, this producer in the Weinviertel up in northeastern Austria. Cool. Just a bottle I had laying around. I love Gruner, especially kind of in the middle-ish of the day. It's a good wine to have.
That's amazing,
I love this. I mean, I think consistently innovative is one of the things, being okay with chaos, the romanticism behind what you're doing. Like, these are all things that I've written down that I think are like really cool and very like beautiful. And then the concept of Bar Agricole doing like 3 hours of like effectively beta testing for each of their cocktails is also fucking crazy, mad.
It is really crazy,
but I think it really speaks to kind of like the care and attentiveness that goes into that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're here. Do you have any advice? Do you have any words of wisdom? Do you have any statements that you want to make to the listeners?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like at the end of the day, anything you drink or anything you do, there's so many components that go behind it, right? And I would say that even if something doesn't in the moment like resonate with you, just don't shit on it right away. maybe think about it a bit more before you shit on it. I mean, hey, I was there too.
Sure.
Just understand that maybe you might have gotten something that wasn't meant to be in that particular moment, and that's why you may have had that experience. But trust me, I mean, there's so many people that put so much effort into putting something in your fucking glass, or like something that goes in the product, and that's one thing too. Like that's one thing I also saw at Bar Agricole, was that we would also really prioritize last drop from the bottle instead of fucking throwing it away when it's like maybe 1/5 full. Like, who cares? Next bottle. Yeah. But then once you understand how much work goes behind it in spirit,
the people that make it,
and you see them in person or something, then you realize that last drop is actually very, very crucial to these people's lifestyle, and So yeah, that would be my advice.
I love that. That was good. Yeah. Okay. Cheers, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.